Hello guys, it's Rhiannon B. Welcome back to Roman's Christmas chapter 4, I believe we are in now. We just solved the murder of chapter 3 with Giannis, and it was Lunik that ended up killing him. But then Solar ended up killing Lunik because she was super angry. But since commoners can't judge rich people, which is such a double standard, but anyway. We are now in chapter 4. And I think this time I'm going to break it up to where we do the story and the investigation up to the trial, because I feel like the trials seem to take a while. So, in the investigation for the trial, and then the next episode will be the trial. So, anyway, let's continue. I locked the door and walked downstairs. Peter was sitting across from Heron, his ears drooping down and his eyes bloodshot, like he had just finished crying. Or maybe it was the stress. Heron was scrutinizing him from across the table, elbows on the table and fingers interlaced. He wouldn't have looked out of place talking in a confession booth. Sarzan was quietly scrubbing an already spotless mug behind the bar, his expression vacant. Thrivey was staring down at his grimoire, although the lack of turning pages suggested he wasn't reading. Solar was seated in the corner of the tavern with a glass in her hands, the fur on her suit matted. Fortunately, no one unwanted had come. Who should I sit with? Well, let's start in order, I guess. I sat across from Solar. She raised her head, hesitated for a while, and put the half-empty cup of ale down. Thank you. I shrugged. Solar paid no attention and continued. I don't know why I did it. Everybody says that. Most people who kill in the heat of passion barely remember the actual act itself. I just couldn't tolerate it anymore. How could someone who seemed so decent change so suddenly? Solar was wringing her hands and leaned forward. And how did I not? She halted, but finally didn't speak it out. If you were in my position, then would you have... Maybe yes or no. I don't know if I should say something to make her feel better, or if I should just say I most likely would not have. I don't know. Just in case, if it affects anything. I doubt it does, but anyway. I looked around and nodded quietly. Solar left out a soft sigh and seemed to relax a bit. Thank you, Detective. That means a lot to me. To tell the truth, who wouldn't go a bit mad when faced by something like that? If our roles were reversed, I'm not sure how even I could resist the urge. Who should I sit with? I sat down at the bar. Sarzan had picked another cup to scrub and was idly talking to Thrivey. Ah, surely it is. It's unbelievable that someone like the Solar, would do something like that. I couldn't believe it myself. But then again, it's not surprising a lady from Cordoba would do that. Isn't it a tad gauche to judge someone based on their parentage? It's custom, not parentage. Sarzan turned the cup down on the bar and leaned forward, tapping the wood of the bar with his index finger. If the judiciary is to be believed, Cordoban ladies tend to deal with unfaithful spouses in a very direct manner. And how would a tavern owner this far north know such things? Thrivey frowned at Sarzan, his expression quizzical. Secret, like the recipe of my cider. Sarzan shrugged his shoulders and walked into the kitchen. Why is this still an option? I just talked to them. Thrivey sat at the corner counter alone. Sarzan was busy in the kitchen. Okay, that was it. Peter and Heron, I guess. I mean, I guess the one thing about these murders is there's less people I have to talk to. I sat down at an unoccupied table next to Peter. Peter had already stopped crying and was talking to Heron in a trembling voice. It's quite all right. If you need help, don't hesitate to ask. God would never abandon any of his children. But it's too selfish of me. If I really do so, I would have made danger you. Put me in danger? Yes, put you in danger. By the blessings of God, I fear no such danger. Such bravery is God's gift for my service to his children. So don't worry, just say whatever this request is. I can't sleep in my room. With the idea that Kane's killer was only one wall away from me, But a change of room would just put him near to where Kane passed away, wouldn't it? Don't worry, you need not fear of any restless spirits, as I have given them the proper rights. They are where they're supposed to be. It's not that I don't believe you. It's just, I'm just afraid. Father, can I change the room with you tonight? Aaron scratched his head and sighed. Who am I to refuse such a small request from someone in need? We can exchange rooms after dinner tonight. Tarzan pushed the curtain to the kitchen aside with his horn and came out with a pot. Alright everyone, lunchtime. What do you all want? There's not a lot to choose from though. We have only meat stew for now, and if that doesn't agree with your appetite, then too bad. So it's either eat or don't eat. How nice to give us a choice. And if you're wondering about the flavor, I went a bit overboard with the seasoning. No other reason. I'm guessing that horse isn't exactly palatable. Tarzan spooned the stew carefully into the bowls and collected the last bits of broth into the last bowl. Bon appetit! Everyone eat up! Tarzan put a wooden bowl in front of me, then walked to the round table where Solar was sitting. Peter was poking at his stew, trying to find any vegetables in it. Driver was holding his bowl and sipping the broth gently, and occasionally sparing a glance at Heron, who was devouring the stew. Tarzan turned back and took the last bowl of broth down to the cellar. I put the wooden spoon aside and held the bowl to my mouth with both hands. Suddenly, a heavy thudding sound came from upstairs. What in the world? The corridor was empty and every door was closed firmly. Lodgers followed one by one to see what had made the noise from the attic. I thought it might be him. Ouch, stupid limp legs. He's awake? Ivy squeezed past me and hurried up the ladder into the attic. And he wonders why people mistake him for being a kid. When I climbed up into the attic, Thrivey had lifted Anzox up from the floor and had him seated on the edge of the bed. Phew, much obliged. Just glad you're finally awake. I was worried you wouldn't wake up. Was it really that serious? Thrivey was nibbling on his index finger as he nodded. I've slept. How long was I asleep? It's been... Thrivey quickly calculated on his fingers. A little over a day or so. Jeez, all this stuff's only happened in like a couple days. And here I thought I'd wake up to find Helios 3 seated on the throne. Helios the Third. Well, I doubt... Before he could finish, Anzox clamped Thrivey's mouth shut. Take care with your words, or we... Between the heavy snow and the dwindling population, I think we'll be fine. What did you say? Between the heavy snow... No, the last part. What do you mean, dwindling population? Well, the fact is, while you were unconscious, there was another incident. Anzox's hand stiffened. What happened? Who was... It's Wait, don't tell me. I'm starving. Please tell me there's something available. I'd rather face tragedy with a full belly. Ah, yes, there is. Ivy glanced at me and raised his eyebrows. I had to admit, I wasn't used to seeing eyebrows on a dragon. But given how fluffy he was, it made sense he'd have eyebrows. I looked into the stew pot. It was completely empty. It was so clean I was almost suspected that Sarzan had thoroughly licked the pot. I should probably check elsewhere. Both Thrivey's stew and mine were untouched. Take whose stew? Well, the nice thing would be to offer my stew. I'll offer mine. I took my bowl and walked upstairs slowly. A furry white paw reached down for the bowl. I stood on my tiptoes and handed it up to him. I can feed myself, thank you. You'll do no such thing. Do you remember what happened when you tried to stand up under your own power? Now hush. Thrivey was spooning the broth into Anzox's mouth. In your current state, all you end up doing is spilling it all over the bed. Truly? Then if nothing else, I would have an easy midnight snack. I doubt Sarzan would agree with you. Well, time to look around. I should be able to peek in someone's room if they're not there. Why are we peeking into people's rooms? Very well, so why was I struck by the ladder? Sabotage. Vincel broke the handle so the ladder fell down at the slightest touch. What? I don't know him at all. What made him do such a thing? I don't know. Roman. Did Roman not tell you why? He doesn't know either. Wait, you mean that Roman doesn't know why Vincel wanted to kill me? Yes, Vincel is bound in the cellar and refuses to say anything. Help me out of this bed. I want to meet him. It's useless. Well, I would like to go downstairs anyway. I left some of my things downstairs. I'll fetch it for you. Describe the items, please. You... Is that it? Okay, it looks like this is the same. Alright, yeah, that's it. The hall was empty. There's only Sarzan, who had just put the kitchen in order and was standing behind the counter, and Solar who was avoiding his gaze in silence. I can't imagine what caused this indiscretion. Was he always this way? Or I just failed to see it? Have I grown too old, or too thin, or too fat for his liking? Or was it just that I no longer excited him? Not to interrupt, but it's probably not your fault. Perhaps, but I can't help but think that if we hadn't argued before, he wouldn't have... Not to speak ill of the dead, but someone who cheats is going to cheat, no matter what the reason. No need to beat yourself up about it. Who else should I blame then? It's impossible for me to push all of the responsibility onto him. Now I was getting curious. How could someone who seemed as meek and gentle as Solar ram a dagger so deep into Lunic's body? He isn't totally to blame either. It wouldn't have been so bad if the laws of Apollyon were a bit more lenient. Lenient? A lenient law won't constrain anything. That's not always a bad thing. For example, according to the law here in Apollyon, sex between males is a major crime. If it wasn't, he wouldn't have felt the need to marry you to hide his true self. Whoops. Hide his true self? Solar lowered her head and turned the ring around and around on her paws. Okay, it's the same. Just wanted to make sure I didn't miss nothing. I heard the wooden door slowly open. I turned around and stepped back, holding my breath and trying not to look too tense. Detective, it's dinner time. God, some of these are like super obscure how to do this. Or it's just like a bunch of clicking before you figure out how to do it. I nodded and quickly followed. Thrivey pushed open the door, glanced quickly about the room and tilted his hat. Go downstairs when you're ready. I'll wait. I nodded and left the room with him. The tavern's atmosphere was a bit brighter since Anzox had returned, and a long-absent smile had returned to Sarzan's face. I sat down at the table by the hearth, opposite of Anzox and Peter. I suppose it's fortunate that it was I who was struck by the ladder, and not someone else. Don't say that. True, you don't have much fame or money or success right now, but... actually, I meant that because I have my scaly armor. Otherwise, well... Peter froze with his mouth half open, as though his brain was catching up to his jaw. I mean, you're also right about the other stuff. Sarzan set 3 bowls of stew in front of us. Stew seemed a bit lower in quality than before. I could see how stringy the meat was without even trying. Enjoy your meal! Easy for him to say. You need strong jaws to eat this. Anzox held his bowl to his mouth and poured the contents down his throat. I could have sworn he didn't even chew it. Peter slowly opened up a piece of meat, wrinkled his nose and took a bite. I'd imagine Sarzan's produce reserves were already empty, but in our current situation, being picky wasn't an option. After chewing for a long time, He turned his head and watched Anzox lick the bottom of the bowl. Still hungry by any chance? Of course. You think a dragon's appetite could be so easily satisfied? Peter slowly pushed his bowl to Anzox while using his body to block the movements of his hands from being seen by Sarzan. Besides, I was hungry before and I missed Chris's dinner. I swear, I need a horse, saddle, and all at this point. Then you'll probably like the stew. Anzox grabbed the bowl in front of him and poured the second bowl of stew into his mouth. After dinner, everyone stayed in the hall. No one wanted to be the first to go upstairs, so everyone sat silently in their seats, staring at each other with the sound of snow and wind outside the windows. Now that everyone is free, how about we decide on the night watch candidate for tonight? As soon as Anzox started to raise his hand, Drivey glared at him. You may have slept all day and night, but that is no reason for you to do a vigil before you fully recover. As a resident doctor, I suggest you rest until your scales have healed. Don't even think about it. Well, 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 what a troublesome doctor you are. Were I not so troublesome, you would be dead. I can do it. I am the tavern owner, and... Before he finished speaking, Sarzan was interrupted by a great yawn. Never mind. I raised my hand. I can handle it if nobody else wants. Don't you have a cold? It's fine, it's just a cold. I can tell by your voice that your throat must be sore. Are you sure? Don't worry, I'm fine. I adjusted my collar. It should be difficult tonight. Everyone went upstairs one after another, and I did too. I had to go back to my room to get something. Sarzan followed me, and we went upstairs together. I got into my room, and I could hear the sound of keys turning and locks clicking coming from the hall. I settled down, prepared to spend the night awake. It wouldn't be too difficult to hear anything happening upstairs, so I might as well be here. In all aspects, in fact, this room was the most suitable place to keep watch. Just can't fall asleep. Day 5, 27th of December, 1285. Just cannot fall asleep. There was a loud sudden knock and my eyes snapped open. Oh no, I fell asleep. I quickly got up from the bed and hurried to open the door. You're fine too? I looked into the corridor from the crack of the door only to find that there were several dark brown footprints in the corridor leading towards the spiral staircase. Then that just leaves Peter. Before I could react, Sarzan took a hand from the keychain, but the key failed to enter the keyhole. What the? Maybe this one? After several failed attempts, Sarzan growled and used his shoulder to burst open the door. The door slammed open. Is that blood and a dagger? Apparently. That was the only thing that would fill my thoughts at this point. The door swung open and the thick, sticky miasma of fresh blood flowed out, spreading from the blood-splattered wall. A pool of blood at the door was evenly smeared by the bottom of the door, painting a crimson arc. Peter was lying peacefully on his bed, a ham knife sticking out of his chest. The blood flowing from the wound was gelled and stuck to the fur with his trunk without falling. No traces of a struggle, no scream for help, no shocked expression. A quick, precise, painless death. That was the only comfort I had, and the only thought that kept me sane and aware in the face of such a brutal scene. Stewed hair! Ah! Jesus Christ. So I guess Peter is dead now. Sarzan stood there numbly. His hand fell slack from the doorknob as he stepped into the room, and his foot landing on a half-dried, bloody footprint. How could he have so much blood? It was as if every word had to squirm free from his gritted teeth. Sarzan bent forward and slumped to the ground, and the impact of his body even shook the wooden beams that held up the ceiling. Anzox and Thrivey ran up from the side, holding his shoulders to help him up. Solar gritted her teeth and leaned against the wall. Heron moved to help her, but Solar waved him away. Wait, one person is missing. Elegant, right? I had noticed I hadn't seen her in a while. I raced downstairs to the lobby. The fire was out. Footprints stretched all the way from the stairwell and stopped in front of the counter. A dark red stained the carpet and the wooden floor. Roman was lying on the counter with his back undulating, and he slept soundly. The bottom of his boot was covered with brown, black clotted blood. A fine powder was constantly peeling off the boot. Roman! I was so surprised that I let out a shriek. Urgh, who's screaming? Wait, whose perspective is this? Did I miss something here? Because I was Roman. But now I'm seeing myself. I'm very confused. What just happened? This wasn't I, Roman, supposed to be the watch, and I was woken up? Anyway. I quickly covered my mouth and stood motionless at the staircase. You fell asleep. The sun has come up already. What? I fell asleep? I'm so sorry. Wait. I'm elegant? When did this happen? I'm elegant now. Why am I elegant now? I guess was I elegant from the start of the chapter? There's one other thing. Before I could finish, yeah, I'm elegant now. I guess I switched I don't know when I switched exactly. I'm sorry, I didn't keep track. Because this whole time I've been Roman, and now I'm Elegant the cat. That's why the Elegant was missing, because I was Elegant from the start of the chapter, maybe? And I just didn't notice the name difference. Before I could finish speaking, Roman scrambled down and froze with his back against the bar. What did you do? He stretched out his hand defensively and glanced back and forth between the bloodstains on the ground and me. Me? I thought it was you who did this. I pointed at my lips and whispered to him. Peter is dead. This wasn't me. Really, why would I kill him? I felt a rough scale claw rest on my shoulder. We need to talk now. Tarzan grabbed my arm and dragged me to the staircase. He whispered in my ear. Elegant, I need your help. Have you ever... Huh? Have you ever done detective work? Once? Good enough. It should be obvious. But Roman's the prime suspect right now. Nobody's going to believe a word he says, much less let him investigate. So you need to do it instead. He passed his keys to me while he was talking. Still, with this much evidence, I'm unsure if Roman could escape on his own. Very well. Start working then. I'm a cat. Okay, so yeah, I am elegant right now. Start working then. It's so weird to see Roman on this side because I've been Roman this whole time. But then all of a sudden it switched to elegant. I need to watch this back so I can pinpoint when it switched. Or maybe it switched at the beginning of the chapter and I didn't notice. Because it is weird that, like, they were saying, like, I should investigate while no one's in their rooms. So was I elegant the whole time? This whole chapter and I just didn't notice? I don't know, man. Anyway. Roman is curled up by the counter like a frightened bird. I have something to ask you. Just say it. His fur is messy and his eyes are dark and defeated. I know this is difficult, but I believe you are innocent. As a detective, you're not the sort who would harm others on impulse. That's nice, but what about the others? The others, well, they think I did it. I know why Sarzan didn't ask you to investigate. I do. I'm the most suspicious one for now. But there's something, although I can only understand why. I can totally understand why. And if I were like him, I might have done the same. But there's still something I can't accept. Do you remember what happened last night? Nothing happened when I was keeping watch. But I fell asleep. I was too tired because of the cold. Or was this... or was it both Elegant and Roman's perspective just kind of switching off? But I think I did hear something before I fell unconscious. I think I was Roman though, because at the end it was like, I can't fall asleep, I can't fall asleep. So I think I've been Roman most of the time. It's just weird. But the thing is Elegant was the one that told Roman that Peter was dead. So it was Elegant at first. But then why did Elegant not want to fall asleep? I don't know. Anyway, so maybe I was Elegant the whole time. I don't know, man. But I think I did hear something before I fell unconscious. So what was it exactly? Did you hear where it came from? No, I don't know. Roman scratched his left ear and avoided my eyes. Right, there is something weird. What is it? Before my night watch, I checked my right pocket to make sure my key was in there. This morning I found my key in my left pocket. Okay, this is the same. I inspected him carefully. He was wearing his coat as usual. The collar band was made of wolf skin. He is wearing a blue shirt today. No blood stains on his trousers. Some cracked, clotted blood on the sole of his boot. And there were traces of splashed blood on the boot. Okay. Well, of course he can see in the darkness. It appears Roman drools when he sleeps. Ugh. Only little cider is left in the cup. It appears... Okay. Ugh. Cups are left untidy. What is that? There appears to be a small rag dropped by the fireplace. I extend my claws to pick it up and inspect it. Splashes of blood and the edges are charred. Curious. And this texture. It appears to be the same material as Roman's shirt. Somebody's trying to frame him. Like there's fucking blood everywhere. Bloodstains lead from the staircase to the counter. Candle has never been lit before. Bloodstains led from the staircase to the counter, okay. Okay. Now if I do this... Is anybody going to be here for me to talk to? Oh, no. Okay. That's considered part of the hall. Okay. Cellar, I guess. Vincel raised his head as he saw the trapdoor open. Come down to the Temple of Liquor, Roman. I didn't expect you this early. Do I look like him? Oh, Miss Elegant. Splendid. Why are you here? It was simply my turn to visit the prisoner. Any problems? Vincel turned his bound body, tilted his head, and looked at mine. So, I guess something happened to that stupid wolf. Yes, Lunik is dead. Did someone miss? Disappointing. Well, yeah, Lunik is dead, but Peter's dead. What did you do last night? Vincel sneered. What did I do? Well, after I attended the opera, I had a lovely dinner. What do you think I was doing? Well, that was a silly question. Did you hear anything last night? Not a blessed thing. The rope loop goes under his shirt collar and is pressed against his green bow tie. I could see wrinkles made by the ropes on his vest and shirt. Barrels for storing alcohol. I suppose we are lucky nobody wants to murder all of us at once. A few drops of the right poisons would do the deed easily. Not that I would do such things. My conscience is clear of that, if nothing else. Nothing has changed in the cell. Even the sharp-edged chain is not repaired. I had better check somewhere else. I don't know and I've never asked. Nothing has changed in the cellar. I'd better check somewhere else. Yeah, whatever. You don't tell me what to do, game. Are you sure that all the doors were locked last night? Yes, I locked every single door. Not that it seems to help at this point. Did Peter ever fight with anyone? Let me think. There was that argument between Peter and Roman yesterday. You did say that you would protect everyone. Didn't you say you would protect everyone? What? First Cain, then Anzox, now Giannis? Even, are you doing this on purpose? Not like I can just magically... Bullshit! Oh yeah, I've seen this already. Okay. I just asked about Peter, right? Tarzan is dressed as usual with polished buttons, rolled up sleeves, and belts tying his wings. Right. Okay. Chopper, stuck in the chopping block. There's nothing in the pot. Tarzan lit the fire before I could ask if I could search the fireplace. Annoying. There's nothing in the pot. There's a paring knife, a vegetable knife, a bread knife, and one knife that has gone missing. One was missing. The ham knife. The ham knife has gone missing. Okay. I would assume that's it. Toilet. Anyone in the toilet? Now I see. It is probably Roman who always hides himself in here. My reflection is passable, but not as good as the real thing. It was a bad idea to disguise myself as a nun. My expression looks too fierce. Travel chest is filled with spices and clothes samples. Tarzan seems to have remade the bed. Open Vincel's drawer, which contained, yeah. I remember this texture. Go to Rimph and meet the boss at White Star Tavern in the suburb. It's very close to St. Isaac's Cathedral and the monastery. And remember, not a word about this to anyone. I tapped on the table with my knuckles to show acceptance and spread my palms. A gloved left hand stretched out from behind the curtain, and 5 silver coins dropped into my paw pad. When the hand was withdrawn, I happened to brush by it with my fingertips. The abbot has been long gone now, but the priest should still be alive. He's a hyena, the name I forget. Texture of that glove. Felt the same as this pair of gloves. Okay. Blizzard outside has not stopped. Maybe I should be searching the door. I don't know. Anyway. Let's keep going. I'm in Roman's room now. The bed was the same as yesterday, untouched. A blue shirt and a pair of pants. Strange, there was one white shirt and one blue shirt before. And Roman was still wearing a blue shirt, if that is so. Damn it, wrong one. Bed is the same as yesterday, untouched. Still snowing heavily. In the drawer was the arrow from before and a case file. Well, the case file was from the last case, so I guess we don't need that anymore. Unlit candles. Although Anzox has woken up, he still lies on his bed. The only difference now is that he can play his lute. What did you do last night? Did you notice anything peculiar? Let me think. Thrivey gave me a potion before I went to sleep, and then I slept until morning. Really? Did you hear something? No, I was unconscious the second I closed my eyes, and when I opened them, the sun had already risen. Very well. Judging from your injury, I almost thought... You didn't expect me to spring back to life in only one day, right? Correct. Although given our current circumstances, it may have been nicer to stay comatose for longer. By the way, I've heard it said by the doctor that unconscious people have very peculiar dreams. Is it true? Peculiar, yes, I did see something in my dreams. I saw a blue dragon, along with his adherents, soaring over the land of Draconia. Wait, what are you blathering about? I did not want... And lo, blood and fire descended upon the once fertile land, burning away all the great achievements that Draconia had. False idols built in the image of the fire dragon, and a crude, ugly, and blasphemous palace built upon the scorched earth. And newborn dragons, without their elders' wisdom, will be led back to Draconia by ancient instincts. In the eyes of dragons who had not seen the dragon god, the false god's light is less than a tenth of the dragon god's true brilliance. At the very least, only one Tears of Envy 3 could easily deceive young dragons' hearts. Wait, stop enough! I don't have time for this! Ah, sorry, I'm so focused. Do you play the lute as soon as you wake up? Your diligence is admirable. This is my job. If I couldn't play it, I would have to find something else to do. I assumed it was more of a hobby. It was at first, but now it is the only thing that interests me. And ever since I decided to make a living off of my music, it feels different. Did Peter have any problems with anyone here? How should I know? I'm not exactly up to current events, given the coma and all. True. Anzox is still Anzox, holding his smooth and well-polished lute. His fingertips flick between the 6 strings, and his tail beats a rhythm on the edge of the bed. Bandages on his head have been removed, and he's wearing an old grass-green vest that appears to be a long-sleeve shirt with torn sleeves. Sure enough, his resilience is impressive. Garvey sleeps in this. Anzox sleeps here. I can even see the imprint left on his body. The medicine chest that belongs to Thrivey seems there are a few dangerous substances in it. A book on hermetic philosophy. It would make sense that Thrivey would be interested in alchemy. Room keys hanging over the bed. Sarzan hangs the keys to available rooms here, but only Sarzan has the cellar key and it's not on the keychain. There are 4 keys now. Kane, Sean, Giannis, and Vincel were the original owners. The round skylight in the roof. Light is coming through it. Snow covers the skylight, whatever. Sarzan sleeps here. I've been told Sarzan uses 2 beds, but Thrivey has borrowed 1. These candles are used in the guest rooms when the rest of them are stored here. A ladder dragged by rope moves up and down along the track. Piles of junk Sarzan stores here. Okay. I think that's... Yeah, that's it. Okay. Alright. Let's do the corridor, and then we'll do their rooms. Alright. Solar was pacing back and forth in the front of her door, her eyes focused on the bloodstains in the corridor. What did you do last night? I stayed in my room as usual. It seems a bit too simple. Honestly, you should have expected it from a wolf like him. At first glance, they look gentle and sweet, docile even, but if you start to probe deeper to see what secrets they're hiding, out come with the fangs. You're biased. That could be said of any canine. Even if he told me that night, it would have been fine. I would have understood if he just talked to me. At worst, I would have only become a widow because of a murderer who stabbed her husband. Why didn't I think he was my husband when I pulled out the dagger? When Lunik betrayed you, he likely did not care if you were hurt. Admittedly, he is no genius, but surely someone with his skill set would not leave such an obvious trail of evidence. So you don't think he's the murderer? I am not sure, but I am willing to consider the possibility that the murderer is someone else. Do you usually trust others so easily? Only when I have sufficient cause. Fine. But I still think Roman is suspicious. Why? If I remember correctly, this time Roman seemed to insist on keeping watch on his own. Clasps on the back of her long dress were surprisingly secure. It must have been quite a struggle this morning. Okay. Quick search. Ladder. Obviously, they should inspect this, right? The blood trail. Room on the left. Blood trail? Oops. Blood trail? No, we're not going to talk about the blood trail? I guess not. Room on the left. Okay. Solar stays in the suite. Solar does not seem interested in staying outside. Solar stays, okay. Even this one? Whatever. I can't even click on this one. Room on the right. We're not gonna even touch this blood trail at all? There we go. The trail of bloodstains in the corridor have led directly from the crime scene to the stairs. Okay. Just make sure. Room on the... Okay. Alright. Now... This is the murder scene room, so I should go in this one. What did you do last night? I offered my prayers to God and went to sleep. There was nothing special. This repetition grows tedious, but I suppose those with normal lives really have nothing to say. Why did you and Peter switch rooms? Did you forget? He told me he didn't dare to stay in his room and felt unsafe, so I agreed to switch with him. Don't look at me like that. I switched rooms out of the goodness of my heart. Am I suspect? Ugh. Am I suspect now? This is unfair. Forgive my expression. You are fine, priest. The switch was done publicly, and everyone heard it. Aaron is wearing a black robe. I believe it is called the habit? No. All this stress is playing havoc with my memory. I should have done more research for this job. At least I can recognize that. There's also one of those on my chest. I can't refresh my memory later. I can refresh my memory later. Focus. Search his room. That is quite neat. Soft pillows, which are suitable for suffocating others, okay? Aaron's Bible's in the drawer. There's nothing particularly noteworthy. A candle. Okay, I guess that's it. I guess let's go to Peter's room. Thrivey's probably there. Yeah. Is there any progress on the autopsy? I'm performing it, don't rush me. What did you do last night? I slept soundly last night. Why? Because Antox wasn't playing that blasted lute. What exactly did you feed him yesterday? Tincture of valerian root. Do you really think I would believe that? Valerian root was a primary ingredient of the medicine. Thrivey wore a silver beak mask. and the silver on the surface of the mask was blackened and eroded. But most doctors believe that this layer of black silver tarnish could better protect them from the disease. But Thrivey is wearing a mask to examine the body, or perhaps to hide his expression. Can I do a search yet? Still examining body. The first floor needs investigating too. Look at all this blood. Although not everyone can give useful testimony, asking everyone is still necessary. I did! Oh my god. I guess they're saying go to the first floor. I went to the cellar, I talked to you already, right? Are you sure that all the doors were locked last night? Yes, I locked every single door. Not that it seems to help at this point. Peter ever fight with anyone? Let me think. Oh yeah, I already did this one. Is it okay to leave the keys at your bedside? Of course! Why are you so sure? Someone would wake me up if they want to reach the keys at night. And I'd know if anyone wanted to get into the attic during the day. Alright. Is the ham knife in the crime scene the only one currently missing from the kitchen? I wish I had secured the kitchen better. Right. I've already searched, so I'm gonna see if there's anybody to talk to. Oh, not in here. Cellar. Your gloves? Is there something the matter with the ones on my hands? I mean the other pair in your drawer. You searched my drawer? Vincel wriggled in his chair violently. For a moment I thought he might loosen the ropes until he gave up. So do you have anything to say? He neither shook nor nodded his head, opting instead to glower at me. I think everything else is... I've already asked him before. Oops. I've already asked him the other stuff. I guess let's check the hall. Do I have anything else to ask Roman? No. Her. I am going to try once again to go to Peter's room. Can I search the room yet? I should go collect the evidence and testimony from other places. I have yet to check the room Roman uses. Maybe I should see if the door was broken in. It was, and I can eliminate him as a suspect. But maybe Roman broke it on purpose just to distract me. Okay, it seems like they're really being heavy-handed on the hints, though, and what you should do. Even though I fucking looked at his room earlier. The door of Roman's room was not opened by violence, and the lock was just opened by Sarzan. Okay, let me try again. Can I search the room yet? Finally, I fucking can search the room. Alright. It's so weird, sometimes you have to do really specific things just to do this. I opened the nightstand. Our room key was still inside. It must belong to Peter. Peter's door key's in the drawer. Windows are tightly closed, although everyone knew last night it was feasible to enter the room from here. At least the killer did not leave via the window. Blood spilt all over the nightstand and the ground. Bloody footprints extended to the door. Blood splattered on the wall. From the shapes of bloodstains, Peter began to spurt blood while he was lying there. Good lord. Okay. There seems to be something in the gap of the bed. I bypassed the bloodstain and looked closer. Blood-soaked fur, which can barely be seen, is gray. Okay. A ham knife was stabbed into his chest. I looked close, trying to find anything left by the murderer. I saw no fur or paw prints on the knife. His expression still looks relaxed, just like he fell asleep. You ignore the blood wound and the knife. I've prepared an autopsy file for you. Ask me if you don't understand something. Thanks. Okay. Blood flowed down from the wound and stained the sheets and clothes. Okay. Sheets are bloodstained. Sheets are bloodstained. Okay. I guess I'll just go with Thrivey. I think the evidence I have now is enough to start the trial. You wish to call everyone here to start the trial. I think the evidence should be sufficient for now, and now to complete the puzzle. Oh, I guess Elegant does not have the smell-o-vision that Roman has. Alright, guys. That is gonna be it for today's episode. Next time we will be continuing on to Chapter 4's trial. And I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Like to subscribe if you did, and I will see you next time in the trial. Have a good day, guys.